Review with another one of my Overwatch students who is now playing Marvel Rivals. This is Payne, and he's currently a Diamond 2 support player, and we'll be watching his Invis women today. A big focus in this replay was maximizing his cooldown usage and pinpointing ways we can get more value out of that utility. As always, if you find this helpful and want to see more reviews like it, please like, subscribe, and comment. Let's go. Alright. Hello. Watching some Susan today. Pretty dress you got on. I don't know why the announcer there is so out of sync with the actual countdown, but whatever. We're playing triple support here. You know, you got Jeff Mantis, so you are going to be the majority of your team's healing. So kind of unfortunate that we just want to walk it down main here. With that said, okay, yeah, you should have your goal in mind. Like you know, you have Mantis Jeff, you probably are going to be needing to focus on healing really heavy. If both of them just want to run it down main and are both going to just be here pocking your Groot who's trying to take space, I think you can be a little bit more active with your positioning, and especially since your Moon Lord's being smart, or Moon Knight's being smart and taking that high ground, you can go up this way and take that high ground too, right? Like you also have no cooldown on your shield, so it's totally fine if you just want to toss this guy's shield up here real fast and then just start pathing over to this high ground, right? Because then once you get up to here, then you can kind of decide, like if your team's walked forward more, you can start to go up and take this spice, or if they're not, you can just start peeking from this side and like playing this high ground and, you know, doing the same thing that you would do from down here, just being on the high ground. So you have more of you have an option to get aggressive, you have an option to flank to the left, you have an option to, like, you know, you're just controlling more of the important space, right? Because right now the biggest caveat that, you know, sees or causes some triple support comps to fail is just being, you know, everyone's just too eager to heal, right? Like the reason the triple support comp is strong is because the support ultimates are typically so powerful that they just are fight winning basically. So having just an extra one of those is really good, right? But you don't want to have all three of the support players just perma healing, right? Like you've still got to find opportunities to be aggressive and to do damage and to take different angles. So I definitely think you could be a little bit more forward with your positioning, right? A little bit more keen to use your abilities, especially when we're kind of just, we've got our Groot just face tanking them, right? Like, you know, you use your left shift, it's just a big damage AoE, right? Shoot that into that clump of people. Use your, you know, we haven't used an E yet regardless, right? Like we haven't used a single one. So try to be a little bit more you know, proactive with your positioning and kind of just bait yourself, right? Like if you run over here and try to take like a little bit of a wider angle and be like, hey, look at me, don't you want to shoot me? It's okay to take a little bit of damage, as long as you have an escape, and you know Susan's very good at that, and you also have triple supports to heal you, right? So you can be a lot more aggressive with your positioning and just be more keen to cycle those abilities, really, because you know, we've pretty much completely bullied them. Like that's a good shift. We've completely bullied them off the point here, and you haven't used your E ability a single time, right? Like what's stopping you from just use it to displace them? Really, you're walking down your main here. You know, you can boop them backwards. You can pull these people forward to try to stagger them further. Like we're basically about to we've practically won this fight, and it's an ability you haven't even used a single time. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not even sure you've used your shield either, right? Like there are a lot of cooldowns in this game that they're good. The cooldown numbers feel very random, right? Like some of them feel really long, and then others, like your shield for example, have literally no cooldown at all. Like you can just put that up, have them walk through it, heal them, take it down, give it to someone else. Like that has literally no cooldown, right? So you can be a lot more keen to kind of cycle that ability and kind of just spam it, frankly, right? This is much better. I like this a lot. You know, this is some of your Overwatch knowledge showing, right? Like we're capping cart's not even really moving yet because the door has to open, right? Like you can be a lot more aggressive up here and, you know, controlling the space instead of just like backing and stacking on the cart, right? Like this is the active positioning, active play that is really important to see. So here, here you've got two people on cart. Probably not ideal, but you know, definitely you don't need to be another person back there. So you're up here with your Groot. Love to see it. Good use of your cooldowns. do make sure you are paying closer attention to your ult economy and what ult you have coming up, because right here you guys don't really have a super, like, you don't have your Moon Knights combo yet, so making sure that you have that your orb available for that grav is just, it's just so much extra damage, right? Getting that actually in there would be really huge here. So do keep track of that combo specifically, because I mean, you do just have a giant AoE orb. Another thing that's really powerful that Inviswoman can do when Groot's ulting, if your orb doesn't kill and you don't kill during the duration of the ult, just time the ult so that as soon as it ends, you can pull them forward, right? Like, a lot of the time, if people are going to live through that Groot ult, as soon as it's over, they're going to want to run backwards, right? So imagine as soon as it ends, instead of, you know, being able to freely hold S and try to go recover and, you know, restabilize, you just have another CC ability that's pulling them forward, right? Your team's doing a really good job holding space here. This is good tempo. Really quite aggressive. Maybe yeah, definitely a switch too aggressive, you know. I don't, oh my gosh, this is such a fiesta. I don't hate that Inviswoman ult. It is pretty tough to win this fight when you're this close to their spawn and your tank hit the feed button, but this is the kind of idea of like limit testing, you know, see what you can and can't get away with, take risks to try to clutch fights up. I don't hate that ult, right? It was also to counter their Psylocke ult, kept the tempo up. I like that ult. And it looks like it's working out, so you'll love to see it. Really good tempo here. Oh my gosh, you are so aggressive and I love it. This is good. Good tempo. Okay, so here, and you know, as a support, it's a lot harder to hold space than it would be on, you know, a lot of the other roles. But you know, even here, I think you can be a little bit more keen just to try to slow him down here a little bit, right? Like, maybe if you're staying here, because this choke point's pretty deadly. You already were pushed up here. You had them on the back foot. They aren't all there. Your team's not all there either. But you could be a little bit more keen to hold this space. Maybe instead of backing to the cart fully, what if we tried to hold over here in this position? Or, you know, this room is also massive, right? You could even try to like be over here just to see if you can kind of annoy them and kind of slow them down, right? If you're over here, maybe you can, you know, pester them, look at them from this direction, shoot an orb, and then maybe they think like, oh, we can come fight you, and they're gonna walk towards you. You can just jump this way and go invis, and then you're gonna be pretty safe, right? Like, and it kind of is just gonna slow them down the pace that they want to get to this choke point, to kind of stop you guys from getting to this choke point for free. So I think you could be you know, that one extra person on cart, you know, now that you're forward, you're literally not even making it faster, right? You kind of just gave up a lot of positioning. So I think you'd be a smidge more aggressive with your positioning and try to just be a bit more annoying. So again, I just want to stress this again, right? What I was mentioning earlier about making sure when you have triple supports, you kind of are changing your playstyle, and like here, like, you should be the primary healer, but if you're Jeff who isn't really flanking you got your Jeff and your Mantis both kind of just chilling behind the tank, like that kind of opens it up for you to be more aggressive, right? You got to kind of play to the what your team is doing, right? Like, in an ideal world, sure, you're going to be much more focused on healing than this Jeff, but if this Jeff wants to sit around and heal, you know, you recognize that and take that as like all right, I should play a bit more aggressive, because, you know, it's not like an Inviswoman can't play aggressively, right? It's not like she can't do damage. So go try to do that, right? Like, let's try to take like a wider angle to the left and just try to control more angles, and, you know, that helps us control more pressure on the map and control more space. It would also encourage you to play more aggressively with your E, because Your E is such an incredibly powerful ability. Like the fact that like not only can it's just so flexible, right? You can push people away or pull them in. Like that's so strong. So when I'm playing Inviswoman, unless I that was a really good counter. You know, unless I'm saving my E for something specific, like Doctor Strange's you know, ults where you can push them away, I'm gonna just try to cycle that stuff a lot more, because the displacement that it offers when you're just pulling people into you off cooldown, especially if you're like using your damage orb and then pulling them into it, it really is quite substantial and can really shift like the damage trades in your favor really heavy. So I would definitely suggest you trying to do that a little bit more often. And then here, fighting our demons. Love that for us. See, like that's like that right there was a good example of like just how aggressive you can be, right? And that also, you know, yeah, they were kind of forced to kind of just run to the cart, so they didn't really have too much of an option there. But the idea of like kind of baiting yourself, right? If they try to shoot you and chase you, like they can't really. They kind of have to just run past you. And even if you do just like take some damage there, like as long as it gets healed up, that's I mean that's fine, right? All right, so I definitely know we've talked about this a lot playing Overwatch, Pain. Like this right here, it just feels like it feels like lazy positioning, right? It feels like you weren't really paying attention and you kind of just defaulted to I don't know, the most basic positioning on the map, right? Like I know there's been so many times in Overwatch where I've gone third person, and I'm sure yeah, I've gone like overhead pop, and like I've shown you this and been like, why are we stacked as 5? What angle control do we have here? What map control here? Like why is every single one of our damage sources about to just shoot down main? What do we do if, you know, there's 2 people on their team that are smart? What do we do if everyone on their team is smart and they just go up here and take this high ground and now they're just shooting down on you guys, right? Like and like I mentioned, there isn't too much you can do if they want to pressure you down as Inviswoman, but you can still make it a little bit harder for them, right? Start up here, you know, as soon as they come around this corner, shoot a damage orb on this corner. As soon as they start coming up here, try to boop them down. Just try to slow them down a little bit. Okay? Try to give your team a little bit time to react, and you know, don't just give them the best position that they can take on the map entirely for free, right? And if you are going to play in this more passive positioning where you kind of are sitting back and waiting, like let's at least be over here up on this high ground. That way you can kind of have a little bit more vision and, you know, drop down when you need to, right? Because now like they kind of just went from this high ground to this high ground, and now they aren't doing too great of a job taking a bunch of angles, because again, so many of them are also going down main. But at least this cap is doing a pretty solid job. Yeah, the cap and the Silex, like you guys are already like, they've got like a triangle around you guys already, just because we were so I guess scared with our opening positioning. Now again here, and so this is actually I'm gonna have to make a video talking about this map in particular or something, because this is a really common issue. This is like, it reminds me of King's Row. Everyone's just so quick to just go hide in this like corner down here, and all that does is just you just go to the lowest low ground on the map, give them the map control, give them access to all these high grounds. It's just way too scared of a position. So I mean, we're doing a, I mean, it's not a bad job like healing. Like we're building our ult fast because we're doing a lot of healing, but we are pretty much only healing. Like I think this is another. I think that might have been your first boop that you've used, right? Like when your Groot was when your Groot was alive, you didn't do anything except healing and like your shield to try to help him, right? Like if you see him getting locked on, think of how much pressure, you know, a well-timed boop can take off of him, right? Like I just want to see you be, you know, more active with that, and making sure you're cycling that ability more. Also, where's your shield right now? I don't know if this is a UI bug or if you haven't retracted your shield, but make sure you're doing that so it heals, right? Okay, solid ult. Okay, not an awful. Another consideration I just want to mention there with your ult is just make sure that you're again using your E ability, right? Because the slow effect that your ult puts on the enemies is pretty powerful, right? So if you ult right there on point and they're standing like right outside of it, just pull them into it, right? Like a lot of the time, you know, your team's gonna want to be stacked in the ult anyway, right? So pull them into your team and then also make them get slower, right? Like it's pretty powerful. Here, I mean, we kind of walked into that a little bit, but also the same thing I've been stressing really heavy. If I looked at this from an overhead pop, it was just all 6 of you just like stacked right here, right? Like when you're coming back from this point, it's hard to kind of take like this high ground and stuff. You can, but it takes too long. So what I would say is just be a little bit more keen to get over towards here, right? Like just have, you know, most of your team playing this angle, you over there on that angle as well. Even that, you know, what seems like what might feel like a minor difference in positioning, really can make all the difference. So super important. Boop them away from you. Oh my gosh, use your ability, please. Rah! It's so strong. Thank you. So here there aren't too many great off angles you can take here. So I don't dislike your positioning too heavy. You can maybe be a little bit more keen to play like over here. It is just a little scary, but you do at least have this ramp. So like if you're standing here and you take a bunch of damage, you can take a few steps back, and it's much harder for them to see you when you're standing here, or you know, just break line of sight behind the pillars, and you have the health back, right? So I don't mind your positioning as much here. The only thing I'll really say is I just want you a little bit more keen to kind of jiggle peek the corners so that you can just cycle your abilities and you know, just be annoying with the boops, right? Be annoying with the boops. And also I think you know, you're definitely doing a better job using your left shift and just cycling that out for damage, but you can also be a lot more intentful with it, right? You know, try to peek like a little bit wider and try to actually like have it go on the targets that you want to be hitting instead of just hitting the tanks, because a lot of times when you just have it sitting on the tank, you know, their health pools are so big and the healing output is so large in this game, you're not really doing too much other than just giving them ult charge, right? So I think you could be a little bit more, you know, active in trying to get like squishy players into it, and you know, using your E to then like pull them into it, right? This is a wicked long game, so I'm gonna speed this up a little bit just because see how you respond to the overtime and that sort of thing, because a lot of this right now is the same things I've kind of already mentioned, right? With the, you know, requiring more active positioning and you know, more just angles, right? Because this is a lot of 6 people stacked as a blob. And then even here, right? Like you have triple support. You have triple support right here. Like, okay, after your storm dies, like most of your team's like healthy here, right? Like there's not even really too much you're doing. Like you could be applying so much more pressure if you were just a little bit more thoughtful about your positioning instead of just standing back here on the low ground. Yeah, the tickle monster here is all over you, but like even just using like your damage orb to go into the cart here to try to boot people into it, to try to pull people, I think you could just be a little bit more you know, well, I say a lot of it more kind of intentful with these opportunities to look for damage, and just the forward pressure, because a lot of the time right now it just feels like they just have these big blobs of tanks running at you and we're just not putting out enough damage to really respond to it. Not even just you in particular, like just your team as a whole, right? We just that's the weakness to triple support, and you know, I still think triple support is really strong, but I think it's pretty misunderstood on how you have to play it. So gotta get more aggressive here. Looks like we swapped off it now. We have a Whoa, more damage. So that's a little bit better. That playstyle that you were playing earlier is definitely going to be more keenly suited to the current team comp. And this is like see, like, you know, this is like this is powerful, right? Like you're doing a good job marking this Cap America. You know, you do make sure that you are trying to pay a little bit more attention, and like you aren't just like hard staring at him. Like it's good that you're not chasing him. You are kind of hard staring at him because you do kind of gotta, you know, mix and weave both play styles, right? Like make sure you're healing and make sure you're kind of just bugging that guy so that he can, you know, not go in so freely. With that said, this playstyle would have been amazing when you had the last comp. Now you have your only other healer is Jeff. You've been spending most of this round looking at the Cap. Look at your poor Groot's running for a bubble. They're both running for one soul bubble. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, you gotta keep an eye on those team comps and make sure that you're recognizing which playstyle you need and what your primary focus is going to need to be. Another thing that's really important, really got to be mindful of your shield when you're getting dove, especially when you have teammates near you. Like getting your shield out onto this Jeff and then using it to like kite through and make the Cap have to kite through is really strong there. Like right there, you kind of had to run to your shield, and it also just broke, right? Like that again, I stressed this before, that ability has literally no cooldown. Like don't be afraid to just spam it. It's no idea why its cooldown is 0. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Like that is too small of a number. So we've only got 20 seconds, they only have 25 seconds left. Ideally what your team would do here is just kind of live, sustain, wait, and, you know, when we get a little bit closer to one fight territory, just, you know, dump everything and make sure we win that fight clean, right? No reason to really go super aggressive with our ults when there's 20 seconds left, because they'll you know, frankly, they could have time to strange portal, and if they kite it a little bit, like you might just waste your ult econ before the fight actually starts. So here we've actually gone back to the triple support. Solid peel on the Cap. Frankly, here I think you just needed to be a little bit more aggressive with your ults, right? Like your Loki was in and deep. You just saw him get hits. You hear their Rocket Raccoon ult go down. You see the Cap ult go down. I'm just gonna hit it in this choke point. Like the cart's close enough to. Well, actually, the cart's actually decently far, but even still, I think this would be pretty fine, because you can like pull them into it and whatnot. But trying to ult and, you know, trying to ult after you've already gone down one and when the cart's that far feels really risky, right? Like if you're gonna ult there, you need to ult there earlier, and if you don't want to ult there, which I don't even think not ulting there isn't, I don't think it's the worst idea, but you got put in a bad situation, and you kind of just waited too long to try to get yourself out of it, right? Like you've just got to react faster before that situation became dire, you know what I mean? Yeah, now we're kind of just staggering. You just gotta honestly just try to make sure you use your invis to get away from that, cause and just pay attention to where your team is and what like the numbers situation is, cause right now it just feels like where are you going right now? Like I was gonna say our team's getting frazzled, but it doesn't seem like it's just our team that's getting frazzled, cause you kind of just walk away. Yeah, it's. I'm very surprised you didn't die there, because you kind of were just walking in pretty willy-nilly. Just gotta, yeah, again, like see our yeah, this is just stagger 101, bro. Like I've coached you for long enough in Overwatch for you to know that we just gotta chill sometimes. And like, yeah, I recognize as a soul support, it can be pretty hard to stop your team from doing this, but you can at least not be doing it, right? And you can also try to just play your life a little bit more when they are staggering, to kind of try to, you know, just heal them and stop them from doing it, right? Like, there's definitely more we could have been doing there to alleviate that. All right, so same thing really here. We only have Mantis heals. Your Mantis is your only other healer this time, so a little bit more reasonable for you to need to be stacking main like this. I will say you're definitely doing a better job, you know, cycling your abilities. That's good. I'll also say, like, when you're using your shield like this is one of the biggest things you need to take from this, is just be a little bit more keen to, like, put your shield up and drop it. Put your shield up and drop it. You know, give them that little burst of healing when they need it, and you know, bring it back, because you so often you're kind of just you're putting your shield out and then you're kind of just leaving it out, and it's taking a lot of damage, and you know, it's just slowing down how fast you can give it to people in a crunch, right? So try to be a little bit more just pay more attention to that ability, and make sure that, like, when it's after you've used it to someone and helped them out, like, be more keen to just pull it back, right? This is also just really sus positioning here. I really, all I gotta say here is you just gotta like backpedal here or something, because, like, if your Namor is walking away from you like this, you can't really, like, stay forward and just turn around like this, because this was really sus. Like, you just literally had your back to the enemy team and you aren't even full, right? Like, if their team was a little bit more aggressive, which I think they should be being, especially with the Rocket Raccoon ult, you could totally just get shot in the back here and explode, right? Like, at least if you're holding S here, you can still keep the enemy team in front of you, and if, you know, they were swinging wider with this, you could, you know, use your E to boop them backwards or pull them forward. Well, you'd want to boop them backwards here, but you know what I mean, you have that option. You could at least see that and react to this, where here, since you're turning around like this, you literally like, look how scary, like, you literally can't even react to what's going on, right? And you kind of just had to, you know, this is a pretty good ult, like, yeah, it would have been a good ult if it was a little bit faster. And, like, you know, again, if you don't turn around fully like that, you don't really lose sight of what's going on in the fight, where, again, that kind of just felt like you trying to dig yourself out of a hole when you could have just not gotten the hole in the first place, right? That's like that's the kind of idea that I was talking about with the ult on your guys' defense too, right? You don't need to dig out of the hole if you don't get in the hole. Use your E, bro. Use your E. Boop them away. Do anything with it. Pull them forward, like, especially when your team is, like, you've got to do a better job tracking, like, the cooldown and the health situation, right? Like, you know, the number advantages aren't the only thing. Like, if your team has good positioning and has advantageous HP, just from, like, you healing more than them, or your damage doing more than them, you know, that sort of thing, just pulling someone in and disrupting them like that will often be, like, the final nail in the coffin, right? So I think you just gotta pay the smidge closer attention to that, and just be a little bit more keen to, you know, cycle those skills, like I said, right? I'm not yeah, this all feels really random. You just gotta be a little bit, like, you've got to recognize when your team doesn't have other support ults, and be just a bit more stingy with it, frankly, right? Like, this felt like you're kind of, it was like you were kind of ulting for tempo, right? Like, there are some support ults that should be used for tempo, like, you know, Mantis ult's a really good example of, like, it's like Lucio, like, beat engaging, right? And there are situations where you can invis woman ult for tempo. This isn't really one of them, right? We're not really in that dire of a situation. The carts, you know, we are all on the cart. You know, we're frankly pushing with ult advantage, and your other supports don't have ults, right? Like you kind of need that for something more defensive, because now like you just committed your strange ult and your ult, and like I like your eagerness to get aggressive there, but like you kind of just that's just like such overkill, right? Because now this next fight that we're going into, unless our Loki builds his ult really quick, you know, we might not have a support ult to respond to whatever they might have, and you just used your strange ult too, so that kind of hurt our ult economy pretty bad. With that said, that was a good damage orb, and I like this Namor whale. So again, you know, this is, I have to point this out. You know how I've been talking so much about cycling your abilities? Like when I throw my orb in like this and I see them like really wanting to hold this corner strong, my brain's immediately like, all right, I need to, let's cycle my abilities. Let's try to disrupt them, and let's try to boop them all, you know, pull them forward or boop them away. Imagine if you were thinking about that a little bit. Just let's just play pretend here and be like, just pretend like we were looking to try to boop them here. Okay, it's actually not, it wouldn't have been as good as I thought it was, but like because what I envisioned here was, I thought the ult was closer to like here, and like imagine you just like boop them onto that. So like, yeah, they have the little covey here, so it wouldn't have made too big of a difference here, but you can kind of see like even there, like, you know, even if you had done that a little bit earlier, maybe just the disruption, even if it's just a little bit, might kind of mess them up and cause them to overstep or something. So it's a good habit to get into. And then same thing here, right? Like, okay, so you didn't use your E before. They're invis-ulting for tempo and trying to get on the cart. Just boop them back here. Slow them down. Stop their forward progress. Make it a little bit harder for them to get into this ult, and also you know, just disrupt them a little bit, right? Slow it down, and give your team a little bit more extra time to press S a little bit and try to, you know, just sustain themselves on the back of the cart, right? Or even here, so now that you have now that we've backed up and the Invisible Woman ult's ending and your team's kind of backing up here, what about even a pull forward here, right? Like, you know, the ult's about to end, you know that there's going to be people in it that are being aggressive. Imagine if you tried to pull this guy forward, and like, not only would you pull him out towards like the end of the ult so he'd stop getting the healing, you're also like causing him to grossly overextend, right? I'm stressing your cooldown usage a lot. I think the real, like, I think the number one most important thing for an Invis woman that's going to really separate like the really good Invis women apart from the great ones are how well they use those two cooldowns, the shield and the boop, right? Because the boop is such an insane amount of utility and flexibility in one ability, right? Like, Lucio boop in Overwatch is as strong as it is, and all that can do is boop people away. Imagine if Lucio boop was also a hook, right? Like, the fact that it can do both just puts it in a world of its own in terms of like ability, strength, and utility. So I really want to see you try to put more thought into that and really think about how you can get more value out of that, because it's really bonkers. So that ult right there, it's fine. We kind of got to the fight. We were down a bunch, right? Like, we got crit people on cart. Like, this is kind of just a wonky fight, and we're so close to their spawn. I like that ult. You know, like I said, it wasn't really in response to anything in particular, and we don't have any defensive ults there, but it was just too scrappy of a situation kind of not to go for it, right? Pull this guy. Oh, you did. Dub. Ooh, okay. So yeah, that's definitely GG. Just something to keep in mind. I'm not sure. I think she might have actually been in a position to stop this. Imagine if you put your shield on this squirrel girl right here and you split the middle of it. That would have been pretty bonkers, and that's kind of what I mean with like the real skill test for Invis women players are going to be how they handle those abilities. So definitely something to think about a lot more. All right. Okay. GG's.